All right, welcome back, everybody. We're getting into the SO review. I think this is number 7. We're talking about exponents. We're also talking about translations and evaluations, which we'll get to on the back. For the most part, our strategy has been type the question, type the answer, and then just look for a match. And you probably are not surprised to hear that is the same thing that we are doing. We want to, just like yesterday, change all variables to x. Now, mathematically speaking, that is not a good decision, but when it comes to a multiple choice question, LJ, I'm not sure what you're doing back there, but one way or the other, it's probably not what you should be doing. So when we do number 1, we want to change these to x's. Again, it's kind of a weird rule-breaking strategy, but if it just comes down to a multiple choice question, it is probably good enough to make it work. So I've tried out number 1. There's my question. I'm going to type all of these in. It's probably worth our time. Again, you can't use y, so you need to use x. I think A is clearly wrong. It does not match. I think B, y power 12, can't use y, have to use x. B is clearly wrong. I think C, which I heard from somebody, was correct. X power, what are we doing here? X power 13. I heard that this one was correct. I've also got D, which is 2x power 13. And these both look interesting. So the thing about the questions we're doing today is you're going to have some very big exponents. If you see here, we have like x6, x14, x2, and all of that like combines together. Even down here, there are questions with x48, x12. Those big exponents make the graphs very strange, but they also make the graphs to the point where they can be very similar but still different. Obviously, A is not even close, and B is not even close. But C and D both look pretty good. Make sure that you just zoom in a little bit extra, okay? So my home button always takes me back, and then I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna do the same thing. It looks like a nice, perfect cover-up. Now let me try D. And now that I'm zoomed in, you can see that D is not a match. So, zooming in is nice, double check, but then always make sure you press the home button so that you zoom back out and you're ready for the next question. So, C is the answer. D was close, but it's not a match. It's not perfect. Okay, everybody locked in. We've done one question. We got the YouTube turned off. We don't have any phones behind our desk or anything weird like that. Question number 2, same thing. Type it in, type the answers, look for a match. Did anybody get an answer for number 2 yet? What'd you get? I heard C is the right answer. Negative 4x cubed. Keep using x's. X power 7. Keep using x's. I need to find one that matches this exactly. You said C was the answer? 16 x power 6. Keep using x's. X power 14. Keep using x's. X power 2. And yeah, I agree. This looks pretty good. And I'm going to zoom in to make sure it is actually the same. And I think this does look good. I think this does look good. All the other answers aren't as close. I think D is the closest one that isn't actually going to work. Again, when you're zoomed out far, maybe the blue graph looks good, but you're going to have to zoom in a little bit, look around, and the blue graph is not the same. So D is not correct. A very similar story to the last question. C is exactly the same. D is not close enough. Number 3, which has division. This question ends up being easier because we're just dealing with less. So normally division would be a harder question, but for us, it ends up being an easier question because there's just less stuff to type in. I can type in this whole thing, fraction x power 7 over x power 6, and my 4 answers are x power 13. I forgot to hit the home button. Home. X power 13 does not even look close at all. Letter B is x. Ooh, that looks pretty good. X power 7 minus x power 6. That doesn't, I don't like that at all. And then 1 divided by x. That doesn't even look close. So clearly blue is wrong, red is wrong, purple is wrong, and black is correct. So pretty easy question there. The answer is B. So far, are we having any issues? What do you got, Tyron? So it's a great question, right? He's already looking ahead for number 4. We definitely have a cube or a rectangular prism or something going on. So write the expression in simplest form for volume. And you might be thinking, I don't remember the formula for volume. Basically, I see 3 things here, right? I see this is the height, this is the width, and this is the length, or it doesn't really matter what you call them, but I see 3 pieces there. And with those 3 pieces, somehow we got to combine them together. Somehow we got to combine them. So what do you think? Do you think we should try adding them up? Do you think we should try multiplying them? Or do you think we should try dividing them? I mean, what are your ideas? Basically, it is always, it is basically always multiply, okay? If you're looking at a shape and you don't get a formula and it doesn't tell you, hey, in order for this question, I need you to add these together. Or, hey, in order for this question, I need you to, do a triangle formula, which is 1/2 base times height or something like that. If it doesn't tell you any of that, always multiply. The only time we add there's a word that starts with the letter P. I heard somebody say it. Perimeter. This is the only time we would ever add is the word perimeter. Does this question say anything about perimeter? No. So we're not going to use perimeter for this question. If you do see perimeter on the SOL test, that's an easy one. Just add them up and you should be good. So, yep, for number 4, just multiply them together, see what you get, and then try to find a match. 2x, keep using x power 4, times 5x power 4, keep using x power 4 again, times 3x cubed, keep using x. There's my shape. Again, it's a weird one. You might want to zoom in a little bit and then try to find the perfect match. Did anybody find a perfect match yet? What you got? Letter C? All right. Letter C is 30x power 8 and x power 9. It's also a very weird graph. Again, if you zoom in, is it still the same thing? Yes, it's still the same thing. So zoom in, take advantage of that. These other answers aren't really all that good. Maybe D, 9x power 7 and x power 5. No, that's not even close. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Even though it's oh my God, a rectangle question. Oh my God, it says volume. It's not really that hard. It's not stepping it up. Just always multiply things. Only add if it says perimeter. Number 5 is the last question on the front, and it's only kind of asking you one more different thing. It's asking you about negative exponents. You've got that m negative 9 and that m negative 1 at the end. What are you going to do? Type it in. Make sure it's all x's. X power negative 9, x power 5, x power negative 1. I can hit the home button. I heard the answer was A, which is nice. That's the very first thing coming up. So that's going to be 1 over x power 5. And again, especially with these weird looking graphs, it's probably a good idea just to zoom in a bit, do a little click, 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 click. hit the home button. I think A looks great. I agree with you guys. And you can try these. This is not a long question. B looks terrible. Click. C, yeah, that ain't gonna work. C looks terrible. And then D. Yep, D looks terrible. So A is the clear answer choice. All right, flip it over. I think that the back here is going to be harder because honestly the front is so easy. You literally just type it in and it really ain't that bad. We've only got 3 questions here. The first one is you're trying to translate a math sentence, right? So here is your math sentence. 4 less than half a number n, and you need to figure out that sentence is supposed to look like A or B or C or D. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, I'll just pick the one that says 4, they all say 4. Or I'll just pick the one that has a minus sign. They all have a minus sign. Or the half, they all have a half. So you can't just cross out terrible answers. You really got to think about what does it actually mean. In particular, I'm going to do a little yellow plus blue makes green here. Maybe not. Maybe makes black. That less than, well, now I've kind of messed it up, but that less than is one of those tricky things. We know that less than means minus. But if I was going to say you guys are 20 years less old than I am, right? You know, you're not going to do 20 minus my age. You're actually going to do it the other way around. And you're going to do my age minus 20. So this less than means to actually switch the order of the two things that you see. So even though 4 comes first, which probably makes you think that A is correct, A is not correct. 4 needs to come at the end. So again, C, I don't think C is going to be correct because the 4 needs to come at the back. That means it is up to us now. Do we think that it should be B, 1/2 n minus 4, or D, 1/2 parentheses n minus 4? I think it should say B. 4 less than half a number n. It doesn't say anything about cutting 4 in half, which is what's going on with D, where the 1/2 is also cutting the 4 in half. So I don't think D is the correct answer. It has to be answer choice B. I'll tell you right now, this is guaranteed on the SOL test. Guaranteed. This is a word I could not spell for a long time, and now I'm getting very nervous I spelled it wrong, but I think that's right. Guaranteed on the SOL test. They love the less than flipperoo. They love that. So if you're planning on passing this SOL test and you remember, hey, less than means flip it around, there you go. There's one more free question that you get right on the way to passing the test. There's 2 more questions here. Both of these have to do with evaluation. It says, what is the value of -2 bar n plus 6 bar when n equals -5? -15, you're right. Sorry, -15. So first of all, what the heck is this bar that we have right here? Now, the truth is, you don't really have to know. It's called an absolute value, but again, all you need to do is know how to type it in. There is a button on the keyboard. It's over by the enter key, but you can also pull up this nice little DESMOS keyboard where it's got some nice little bonuses, and one of those things is bar A bar, and that is a way, click, you can get that nice vertical bar. It is not the same as parentheses. In fact, if you use parentheses, you're basically guaranteed wrong. So what I want to type is -2. I'm going to press this bar symbol. N plus 6. I'm going to press the bar symbol again. Now, obviously, n doesn't work. We know that Desmos doesn't like n's. But we don't even really want to put an x in there. We want to put that -15 in there. Now, up at the top, you get a little reminder to make sure to put parentheses around any number you substitute. Now, I promise you, in first period, had a student come up. They said, Mr. Collier, there was no answer. And I said, do you have parentheses around your numbers? And they said, no. And then they did it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here's a great strategy. Type it how it looks. That's not very hard. Go to the letter you want to replace and press backspace parentheses. Now, the N is gone, and you have those parentheses where they need to go. And then inside that parentheses, you can put the number you need, which is a -15. If you do that order, type it how it looks, backspace parentheses. Once you do that, you are guaranteed to get the answer 18. And it is a -18. So please make sure you have everything typed in correctly for -18. What up? So the thing about parentheses is that sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. And I heard from a couple boys that 7 worked. I'll tell you right now, number 8 will not work if you forget the parentheses. So let's see it. Number 8. We've got -2. Now, fresh reminder here. How do you type this into Desmos? CBRT. I hope that you're learning as you go through Algebra 1 SOL review. Yep, CBRT. And so -2, CBRTA. And then after that, it says plus b squared. So I'm going to make sure I do a plus b squared. Obviously, A and B is not going to work. I'm going to go to the A, and I'm going to do a backspace parentheses. And what should A really be? 64. Now I'm going to go to the B. And if I forget my parentheses, backspace -5, I get -33. But if I do a backspace parentheses and then I put a -5, I'm getting a +17. The answer is +17. That's why I say get those parentheses in there. Sometimes you get away with it. Sometimes you get a question wrong. On the SOL test, I think this counts as an easy question. And we talked about how if you get every single easy question right, you will pass the SOL test. But if you're missing easy questions because you are too lazy to type 2 curved lines that take less than a second to type, that's a bad way to fail the SOL test, at least in my opinion. All right, we've done the SOL review. Type it, look for a match. Type it, look for a match. Always multiply unless they say perimeter. That's the only time you should be adding. Flip it over. Make sure that less than questions get flipped around. Now it's starting to look a little green. And then here, use parentheses. That's everything we're going through today. Another SOL review down.